you to another episode of Stories of the Supernatural. Wherever you find us, whether it's a video or podcast on your favorite platform, please like and subscribe to us so that you can get notification of when a new show is released. You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to miamighostchronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogmen, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. Hi, how's everybody doing? Good? I'm going to bring this up. So, when you have these epiphanies, I'm thinking, I talk usually about the weather in Florida. And the other day I'm looking at that Progressive commercial that they have about when people, they get insured by Progressive and they become responsible and start to sound like their parents. And in the last version that's out now is like, and because they start talking about the weather and I'm like, that's not me. And it's like, yes, it is. I'm talking about the weather. It's like, okay, I think that's hilarious. Like, all right, I guess responsibility. What? It comes with conversations about the weather. But anyway, since I guess I'm saying, yeah, I'm that person, or part of me is anyway. It's hot. It's hot. We just went through it. I don't know. I think it did go into Hurricane 1 status for Debbie. And then it became tropical storm, and it kind of like poured a lot of water all over the place. A lot of rain. Out here where I was at, it just went across north of me through Florida. And we spent 3 days without any power. Thankfully, I have a generator. And my neighbors next door, they're looking at me like, we need to get one of those. They've moved in here like maybe not even 2 years ago. And they have a house, but next to it, they have one of these pull-along travel things with a generator. And you could tell they were sleeping in there at night, because it's a special feeling. Summer nights with no AC, I'm telling you. So yeah, we spent 3 days. Well, everybody else did. No AC, no electricity, and for those people who live in urban areas, when you have no electricity and your power supply is a pump and a well, guess what? You have no water either. Yeah. Yes, been there, done that. So yeah, it's not only the temperature thing, it's everything. Can't flush the toilet. You have to go out and get water. It's a mission. So yeah. But you know what? Overall, a lot of people down here with a lot of, and I know what it is. Like I said, we have a lot of huge trees out here, and all you need is a branch to come down, and that's it. Power is out. And yeah. And I know that sometimes they have to like take their crews, because along the way, everybody suffers, they deploy them to wherever they need. Well, whatever. C'est la vie. Such is life living in Florida. I don't care. I'm a native and I wouldn't have it any other way. So anyway, the pigeon thing is still the same. I've got my parakeets having babies. I'm happy with that. I have little zebra finches. They're all having babies. I must be doing something right. Yeah, and besides that, I was worried about my chickens when the storm was coming through, but you know what? It's like, they were fine. And my guineas, they were in their coop. Everybody thinks guineas are stupid. They're not. They go all over the place. And when that wind was starting to pick up, they ran off into the coop. I mean, they go in there at night, but they were in there at the daytime. They were like, nope. So yeah, one of those deals. And we've got another thing churning out there in the Atlantic, but I'm hoping it just keeps going wherever it's going to go to. One of those things. And yeah. And again, yes, I am getting ready for the Halloween special. Like I said, I'm cooking in my brain what I want to talk about for Halloween besides the usual stuff. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. It's just like something interesting. All right. Anyway, but let's get on to the good part. The good part is who is the guest today at Stories of the Supernatural. This is the first time he's here. His name is Tim T. in Florida. He's an experienced tracker, woodsman, hunter, and a military veteran. Along with his wife, Wynette, he began his journey in 2019 using tracking and hunting skills to search for the truth, finding areas of Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch, skunk ape activity, and finding family or breeding areas with footprints ranging from 6 inches to 18 inches. He's found and collected hairs using scientific methods and learned forensic methods to study and compare hairs against collected animal hairs in these research areas in Central Florida, including domestic animals such as horses and cattle. He's become skilled with a game camera, audio recorders. He films with the camcorder, GoPro, the thermal camera, and he shares and teaches what he's found and experienced and learned on his YouTube channel, which I'll put a link to, also in his Facebook group. And he's an occasional speaker at conferences and libraries. And he's also teaches about quantum physics and quantum entanglement and the connection to Sasquatch, skunk ape, cryptids, orbs, UFOs. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Help me welcome him. How are you doing today, Tim?
All right. How you doing?
Good, good, good. By the way, I'm going to mention, me and Tim met. We met at the Bigfoot Paranormal Conference that we had out here, like maybe it's, 2 months ago, something like that, Tim?
Yeah, in June.
Yeah, they had a lot of interesting, but you know what I'm going to say? Yeah, they had interesting speakers, but these are the people that you see all the time on all the programs. And I think it's more interesting to speak to people like Tim, because after a while, these guys, it's like, okay, part of this is that you're part of some type of show. How much are you really truly in the field?
Yeah,
And I know
that's
there's people going out there, Marlene. It's like, yeah, sometimes the real work is done by the unknowns,
hmm
the anonymous people out there. And let me ask you something, Tim. Were you always interested in this, or did you have an experience that brought you into this field?
No, actually, I was always kind of interested in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, but I
Mm-hmm.
always thought they were out in the Northwest Pacific.
Right.
I never thought of them being here in Florida. And I had one time back in 1997 when I was
Okay.
hunting. I was up in a swamp hunting with a buddy of mine, and we had a couple of our hunting dogs. We were chasing hogs, wild hogs,
Okay.
and we got up along the Withlacoochee River,
Mm-hmm.
and we heard this growl that sounded like a tiger. It sounded like a tiger growled, and everything
Okay.
went dead quiet. And I thought my dog was dead. I thought it killed my dog. And
Okay.
back then, I had already been hunting a lot back then, and had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of experience. I'd known all the animals here in Florida, and I was trying to figure out what kind of animal could have made that growl like that, because I knew
Right.
it was something. It wasn't a panther. It wasn't a wild hog, and it
Right.
wasn't no kind of bear, nothing like that. It was, I mean, everything went dead quiet for several minutes, and then finally the hog come running out, and my dog right behind it, and we ended up getting the hog. We were swimming in the river catching the hog, and we got the hog, and but ever since then that's always been in my mind.
What
And
was it?
well, now I know what it was. Now I know it was a Sasquatch or a skunk ape.
You think
Yeah,
it was going after that same
I think
pig?
it
What
was
do you
hunting the
think?
hogs. Yeah, yeah. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of wild hogs here, and
Oh, yeah.
from a lot of other hunters that I've talked to, and from seeing myself, like being out there, um, finding their footprints,
Mm-hmm.
following the hogs around, because the hogs will root up and tear up a lot of ground.
Yes. They
You can
become
follow
like a
their
pest. Yeah.
tracks. They sure do. And the hogs are a main food source for them.
Let
So
me
I
tell you something.
know that
How many
now.
pounds was that? People don't realize how big these hogs out here can get.
Yeah, they can get pretty big, and even some of the smaller hogs can kill your dogs. They can kill
Mm-hmm.
you. They can
Because they
hurt you real
got,
bad.
don't they have the
They
tusks
got those
also?
tusks sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ones, a lot of them are like curled upward,
Mm-hmm.
but the ones that stick straight out, those are
Right.
the ones that'll kill you and kill your dogs. So
Wow.
they'll rip you up real bad. Yeah, but
People, and see, and I've heard that of people, hunters, outdoorsmen.
hmm
They describe very similar. They'll say that quiet thing where everything gets like all the natural noises that you get
yeah,
that you're
everything will get
familiar with.
real
How's
quiet.
everything like you get like
hmm
everything goes silent,
Yep,
and
no
everybody says the
birds,
same
no
thing.
bugs.
They're familiar with all the noises you hear when
hmm
you're out there.
Yeah,
and you've been
that's right.
hunting.
Yeah,
And by the way, sometimes I know that that sounds also is like when everybody knows a predator, a top predator is around,
yeah, yeah,
and everybody says the same thing. I know it because everybody, oh, it was this, it was that. It's like, no, it wasn't any of those things that I know. I've heard them before.
yep, that's right. And some of the
Um,
animals will give your position away. They'll give away a predator.
mm-hmm,
The squirrels up in the tree, they'll start barking at something that's underneath them, like a predator.
right.
A lot of the birds, I always teach people listen to the birds when you're out there. You can tell if the birds are happy and singing. You can tell sometimes if something's bothering it or something's distressing the bird, and he's giving alarm signals. Yeah,
You know what? I tell everybody, I have guineas running around. I have acreage. And I
yeah.
tell them a lot of people keep guineas because they're like alarm birds.
Oh
And
yeah.
I know when I hear them, I know when they're
hmm
just making their noise, like they're just running around, maybe chasing
Yeah.
each other versus when they're alarmed. I can tell right
hmm
away
Yep.
the way they make the sound. And they're loud. As a matter of
hmm
fact, one time, maybe a couple of months ago, it was already nightfall. And they should
hmm
be in their coop. And I was talking, and all of a sudden I hear them doing that. And I was like, I got to go now. There's something out there because I know that there was something out
hmm
there. So I ran
Yeah.
out there. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean as
Yeah.
far as
So it's
the
like that
noises
with the birds
animals
like the
make
same. Yeah.
naturally versus when they're alarmed.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They'll
They're
do that
and
with us humans as well. They'll
mm-hmm.
give our position away as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, those little stinkers, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me ask you, did you at any time because especially with a skunk ape, you've always heard that that's why they got their name. That there's a like a smell that comes with
No.
them. Have you ever had that experience or no?
I've only smelled them twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only smelled them twice.
And what
One
was it? What
time,
was the smell like?
the first one was almost like a dead, rotten, meaty
Mm-hmm.
smell.
Okay.
And it wasn't there when I went into the area.
All right.
And when I sat down at one spot and did a short video, like a short survival video, talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had got on up and moved in deeper in and spent my day in there. And I found footprints. I found two
Okay.
different sets of footprints in there that were the same size. And when I came back out and I got back to that same spot, I could smell that smell. It was like a real meaty, dead smell.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yes,
I've
and that's what people say. It's like really, really bad, like
really
overwhelming
bad odor.
smell.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I've also smelled them where they smell kind of like a wet dog, kind of a wet
yes.
dog smell.
It
Yeah.
makes you wonder, is it do they have that bad smell because maybe after they've eaten? I don't know. It
Yeah. I
could
don't
be a
think they
lot of
always
things.
smell. I don't know if it's something that if it's like a scent gland or something, if they can control it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be
I
that.
don't
It could
always
be.
smell them.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And
And yeah, you like you said,
mhm.
sightings from different parts of the country have different. Like you said, some smell a certain way. Skunk ape.
Yeah.
That's why it's got its name.
Yep. It does.
Um, have you had contact with anybody? And the reason why I'm asking is supposedly, from what I understand, the skunk ape is supposed to be smaller or shorter
Yeah. It's supposed to
than the
be.
one seen out in the Northwest.
Actually, I think in this area, from the
Mm-hmm.
footprints I've been finding and some of the stuff I've caught on video, I,
Right.
in my area here in the Green Swamp in Central Florida, I think
Mm-hmm.
we have both the skunk ape and the Sasquatch,
Okay, a
which are
bigger one, a
similar.
bigger version.
But yeah, I think the Sasquatch themselves are here too, which are a little bit bigger. And they
Okay.
actually, from what I've been finding, they have five toes. And then the
Really
skunk ape, from what I've been finding, has four toes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I've caught
Wow.
sounds from them on audio recorder, um, and on my camcorder too when I'm out there, like an EVP where you can't hear it with
Yes,
your neighbors.
exactly. Like
Yeah, but when you sit down and start going through the your camcorder footage, then you can hear it.
in the
And
background, like, wow, that's not whatever.
that's right. Yeah, sometimes you can understand it, and sometimes you can't.
Have you had, I don't know if you've ever had the experience. I've heard of, and it's almost like they're territorial sometimes. And maybe I'm thinking maybe it has to do with if they're in the mating season, where sometimes I've heard of hunters having this feeling like we're not welcome, like
Yeah.
we're invading their territory kind of deal.
Yep. I've been hit with it twice. What I call infrasound,
Okay.
and one time was back a long time ago too when I was hunting, and it was after I heard the growl This was another time I was out there hunting, like the following year, and I felt it. And I've actually had them hit me with it 2 years ago again, and this time I knew what it was. But it makes it actually affects people a little different. Each person a little different. With me, it made me feel anxiety, made me feel like I needed to leave, like a dread feeling,
Okay.
and I could, I've gotten where I can feel them. A lot of times, I can feel them actually watching me. So
Right.
this
That's what
the
I've heard.
second
That people
time,
feel like, man, I could tell this intense
yeah, like the sixth
stare.
sense, where you can feel something staring at you, or yeah. So the second time when they hit me with it, I was
Mm-hmm.
feeling them watching us, and I was trying to figure out what direction it was coming from. And when I finally started pinpointing the direction it was coming from, he really hit me with it hard, and it was giving me that feeling like
What is that? When
anxiety.
you describe what you're talking about, is it
They call it infrasound, actually. Um,
okay,
tigers use it. Tigers use infrasound to help paralyze their prey when they pounce on them.
okay.
Elephants use it to communicate over long distances with other
Mm-hmm.
elephants. Yeah, there's actually quite a few animals that use the infrasound. It's like um, a sound that we can't really hear with our
Right.
ears.
I was gonna say something
Yeah,
that you hear, but you don't realize you're hearing it.
yeah, yeah. And with me, the second time when they did it, I think they were being territorial.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my wife, and there was two other ladies out there with us researching that day. My wife was standing right next to me, and it didn't bother her at all. And she
Interesting.
actually seen him move. She seen him move and was telling me, point that direction, point your camera in that direction. And I kept filming that direction. But to me, it felt like a bear was charging me. And I was standing there thinking, I need to pull my gun. I need to draw my gun. I got my
Mm-hmm.
wife and other ladies here. I got to protect them. And as I kept, I'm really calm in the woods. And as I was thinking that, I'm like, no, I know what it is this time. I know what's causing it. Keep filming that direction. And I
Do you
just
think
stayed
it has
calm.
something to do that you're male?
I think so that time. I think it did. I think
Right.
maybe they had family right there in the area and they were being territorial and they were just hitting me with it. Yeah, my wife's standing right next to me. They didn't hit her with it at all. Yeah.
I and I hate to say it, but people don't realize male animals, they have a problem with other males
Yeah.
of other
That's right.
species. The
Yeah.
females, it's the male thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. The wild hogs are like that too out there. That's what makes them dangerous too. They
Oh,
can be
really?
territorial like that too, and over other hogs or with their females. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
yeah,
could get
yeah.
in your area up in there like that, and a wild hog could come charging at you because he's being
Yes.
territorial. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize that and as far as food source, like you said, just those
Hmm.
wild pigs alone, that's a lot of because I tell
Yeah, that's a
everybody,
lot of
when you
food.
think of
Yeah.
an animal as big as a Sasquatch,
Hmm.
something like that needs a very high caloric intake.
They
All
do.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless you have a something that can give it that amount of meat, because let's face it,
Hmm.
I think they're predators.
Yep.
Even if they might eat berries, they've got it. All
Yeah,
right.
that's
Those
right. Yeah.
those wild
Yeah.
pigs out there,
Hmm.
they've got a good food source as far
Yep.
as to stay alive.
They sure do. Yeah. And one of the hunters that actually he's actually took me and my wife and another friend of ours. He has his own YouTube channel as well. Um,
Okay.
this hunter, he was actually at the Bigfoot conference as well. He came to my table and hung out with me a little bit, talking. He actually seen a Sasquatch out there that was they call it Big Red. He's been
Okay.
nicknamed Big Red, and
Okay.
he's really massive. It stepped out on the trail within 15 yards of him, and he thought it was going to kill him, and he
Oh
went
boy.
to he said just with instinct he went to raise his bow up. He said he there's no way he could have drew it back because he was only
Right.
15 yards away. But he said it was massive. It was red. He said his head was like the size of
So
a
in other words, there's some
ball
they've already got a name for him because he's been cited so many
because he's been
times.
sighted around the area. Yeah, yep.
Interesting.
And they call him Big
Interesting.
Red. Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I don't. And I know sometimes they say depending on their coats, it also depends on where they're at, what the weather is like, and things like
Hmm.
that, as
Yeah,
to their coloring and things like that.
yeah. Because
And
like him and his family both seen several within a 2 year period. that big red one. They saw
Mm-hmm.
one that was solid black, one that was a blackish blue color. They saw one that was like a brownish reddish color. So they saw several within a 2 year period right in their hunting while they were hunting there.
Because I'm thinking a red one, there's nothing out here that you could mistake that for with a
No,
red fur. You can't, a bear, there's no
no,
red
no,
bears out here,
no.
as far as the coloring.
Yep, yep. Because our bears are the black bears here, and
Yes, exactly. People don't
yeah,
realize it's a
yeah,
black bear.
the
Something
black,
like,
yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah. So even if they have a little bit of a brownish tint to
Yeah,
them,
no.
bears, they're not going to be red like that. Yeah.
That is, and it
Hmm.
makes you wonder because I personally think that sometimes we don't see them because they're so good at camouflaging themselves. They're like masters of camouflage.
They are, yeah, and their hairs too. I believe their hairs have a lot to do with that. Their hairs have a lot of clear in it, and
Mm-hmm.
some of their hairs even have like a green and tan and brown tones to
Interesting.
it. And I think that helps either deflect the light so that it bends the light around them.
I had not thought of that. That is
Mhm.
so interesting.
Yeah, and I think that helps with the camouflage as well.
Of
Or when you
course.
get into like green trees and stuff, green bushes, it makes it where you can't really see them because it's all the clear in it is collecting the colors.
And you know what? People don't
Green.
realize that if and most a lot of animals have that ability, which is to be absolutely still.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
If
yeah,
they can be absolutely still,
yep,
you don't see them. You just like you said, between that and no movement, none.
yep, that's right. And then
You
too, like
will
you
like
have like
scan and you won't see them.
that's right. You have like wild turkeys; they can stand still, be very still, and then
Mm-hmm.
also they see movement really good. So
Yeah.
if you're not being really still and the wild turkey's around, he's going to see you moving, he's going to take off. And
Right.
there's like the deer. The deer can be really still like that, and it can take you a little bit of time to notice they're there
Mm-hmm.
because they're being so
Exactly.
still. Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking, that probably part of their ability is to
Hmm.
have you ever do you think that the I don't know. Let me ask you, do you think, well, I'm going to say this because I think you already, that they could be aggressive towards humans?
I think they could be, but I think in different areas they're
Mm,
different. Like I think here in Florida they're not that aggressive.
okay.
Um, I actually catch quite a few of them on the thermal camera. The
Okay.
thermal camera when I'm out there, when I go out in the woods, I got my thermal camera running the whole time I'm out there filming.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm walking with it, so it can be a little um, like movement and stuff. But
Right.
times I'll stand still and film. I also have it on a tripod, so I can set it down on the tripod and let it sit there very still and
And just
film.
let it run.
Let it run, yeah, yeah. And like when I get home, because that the I said the thermal camera's got the little bitty screen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can stand there and look through it, and I can see pretty decent. But when I
Right.
get home, I can put it on my laptop, and then with my laptop, I got that big screen, so I can
Right. You
see.
could see a lot more.
You see a lot more, a lot better. Yeah, yeah,
People don't realize that because you get people that's a toss up. Some people want to see them purely as animals.
yeah.
Some
That's right.
people
Yeah,
think they're more human like, and then there's the camp that's what's the word I'm looking for?
the
I don't want
woo.
to say they're spiritual, but there's
A lot of
more
people call it woo.
otherworldly about them.
Yeah, there is. Because too, from what I'm finding, and
Mm-hmm.
some researchers just want them to be an ape, like you're saying,
Right.
and then some researchers will show everything they're finding. Like me, I'm showing everything I'm finding. So
Okay.
I'm finding hairs, I'm finding footprints. So with me, when I first started going out really looking, and like in the past, I probably would have seen a footprint. And I would have been like, okay, that was another hunter that's been in here walking around.
Sure.
And I wouldn't have really paid attention to that because I'm more focused on the animals, the animal tracks, being a hunter. But
Yes.
now that I'm finding and kind of changed how I look at things, and now I'm finding footprints. Um,
Right. You're actually looking for them as far
yeah,
as
and when I first started doing this, and I was finding the footprints, I'm like, okay, they're a flesh and blood animal. They're walking
right.
around leaving footprints.
Sure. Where
But
do you
the
find them?
more
Like around watering holes or where?
around, yeah, around
Mm-hmm.
around lakes, things like that. A lot of it's around rivers. We have quite a few river systems around the
Yes.
Withlacoochee River, the Hillsborough River. Those are a couple of the main river sources that I'm closer to when I'm out like that.
Okay.
Um,
Have you ever come across a kill? Because I've heard of that too. That they've come across kills of,
yes, I
let's say,
have.
a
Yeah,
deer or something that's weird. That's like, what got this?
yeah, we have. And we actually one spot we were researching quite a bit. My wife actually seen a deer skeleton laying there, and at first she thought it was some palm fronds, some dead palm fronds,
Mm-hmm.
and she noticed it and pointed it out. And we walked up there and looked, and it was a deer. A deer. There was no marks on it at all. There was no teeth marks, no bullet marks. Actually wasn't in a hunting area anyway, but I looked it over real careful. There was
Okay.
no knife marks, no teeth marks, no bullet marks. The legs had actually been pulled off, ripped off, and the rib bones were broken, like something with hands had snapped the
Right, right, right,
rib
right.
bones to pull
Exactly.
them apart and get to the
Yeah,
organs.
and see,
Yeah,
you you think
and
your
there's nothing
regular predators
nothing
don't
had
do
been
that,
pulled with coyotes or nothing like that.
right?
Yeah, no teeth marks. And like I said, the legs had actually been ripped off. You could still see the tendons and stuff on the legs, on the shoulders.
I
Yeah.
see.
And we're
That's
pretty sure that
unusual.
was one there that killed that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. People don't realize that certain predators, coyotes and other stuff, they don't rip their, they eat, and maybe later on, if depending when they come across a carcass, they might drag off bones and stuff, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
they're not gonna do that rip thing.
No,
That
they're
that's
not.
like
No, no.
that's you send me some pictures, Tim, and I'm gonna put them up and you tell me.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. Let me let's see.
And I like now I don't believe they're flesh and blood animals now.
We need to talk about that
Yeah.
because here, hold on.
Yeah, I
Share.
found so much and learned so much during my time.
Okay. Right, right. And that's what I like when you actually are out there and in other words, you've been researching and you start finding out more stuff. And this is I don't know if this is the one you want to talk about, or you tell me and I'll bring it up. This was something that, and I
Yeah,
don't know if
this
this is related to UFO stuff.
yes, this one is here. This one
Okay.
I'm looking through the thermal camera and
Okay.
I'm filming around with it. And I don't always just like stand there filming with it, but I'll look around. I'll look
Uh-huh.
around the sky too with it and up around the treetops too because we have caught orbs. I've caught orbs following us around
Really?
the thermal camera because
In
they're giving off
daytime? You've had daytime orbs come
daytime.
after?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yep. And they're giving off heat and you cannot see them with your eyes.
That
Um,
is
my wife
that's
was
very
filming. She actually
unusual.
filmed this here and she actually had panned around too and caught the sky at the same
Uh-huh.
time. And you cannot see the orb on the camcorder footage either, but you can see it
Okay.
on the thermal camera. And it was up there
Okay.
doing loops around, following us.
Let me ask you something. Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if let me tell me if is this the one of the orbs?
That no, that is actually Sasquatch hairs. That's looking at
Really?
the hair through
Okay.
the microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And this hair was actually found in Ocala by a friend of mine, Kathy and Pam. They found this hair in Ocala.
Okay.
And
I know who Kathy is. I met Kathy.
okay, good, yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, she was at
so
the
they
conference.
what they took the like the sample of it?
Yeah, they found an old tire that was up in the woods. They found
Mm-hmm.
there was a little nick on the tire and it had hairs caught on it. So they collected the hairs and she gave me
Okay.
some of them to look at for to because I do a lot of my own research with hairs, learn
Mm-hmm.
learn how to look at them through the microscope, learn what to look for. And this is actually a Sasquatch hair here because see the outside of the hair is really rough textured.
Yes.
Humans are similar to that, but a lot finer. And then
Okay.
all the different animals have different shapes to the outside of the hair.
I'm gonna ask you something because maybe it's a distinction that doesn't really matter. Do they have hair or do they have fur?
They have hair.
They have hair.
They
Okay.
have hair.
And you know
Yeah.
why I'm asking, right? Because
Oh
there's a
yeah.
difference. People. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have
There's a
hair.
difference. With a lot of the animals actually have fur.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
That's
all
so.
these hairs are like 3 to 4 inches long, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And it's like that's so interesting as far as coloring and
Yeah.
wow.
And I did
What?
a lot of my own research and just watching YouTube videos, learning what to look
Mm-hmm.
for with the hairs, learning what the outside of the hair should look like, what the medulla is on the inside, things like that. And these actually had a medulla in it, a continuous medulla, which is like a straight black line all the way through. Whereas
Okay.
humans is only has like partial pieces of the black line.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I've learned a lot about the hairs, trying to do things scientifically.
As like I imagine that you've compared it to like let's say fur of any other animal out there that you could say I know this is not
Yes, I have. Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Because
Okay.
I've collected from raccoons, from the
Okay.
wild hogs, the deer. Um, a neighbor of mine had a horse, and I went to her and asked her if I could have some horse hairs, and told
Mm-hmm.
her what I was using it for. Um, there's a lot of cattle around here, Florida, because there's a lot of
Yes.
pasture land. I've collected the cattle's hairs from the barbed wire fences, and
None of
uh,
them. Totally
yeah,
different.
totally different. Yeah, yeah, and
Interesting. Interesting. So you're like ruling out all these possible
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
suspects. No, it's not
yep,
this. No, it's not that.
yep. And there's also some of the moss, some of the black. There's a moss that I call black vine moss,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll really fool people too. That fooled me a lot when I first started doing this. I was finding that black vine moss, and it looks like hair,
Oh,
and I
you're thinking, hey, wow, wow, I found a
yeah,
sample. That's it.
I thought I found some hair. Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
you find out.
as I started learning more and more, and then I started testing it. I started testing the what I thought was hair, and started burning it too, and trying different things with it, and come to find out it with the microscope too. It was just a black vine moss. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? I'm sure there's people out there that have gotten fooled by that.
Oh yeah, there sure
Positively,
has quite a few.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They've gotten fooled by a hey, look,
yeah.
you know,
That's
it's
right.
a it's it's
Even
a black-haired
the
Sasquatch running
palmettos,
around out there.
the palmettos give off a hairy looking fiber too, and the cabbage palms do as well.
There you
Yeah,
go. So
and
there's a
that
lot
fools
of things
people
that out
too.
there, plant life.
Hmm. Yep, plant life. Yeah, the organic matter that it fools you
Hmm.
too. That fool people. Yeah, yeah.
No, I could see where people like let me see. Tell me I know this is I don't know if I'm let's see. Right here. It looks like you are is this some type of
Yeah, that's the orb.
that's the orb. Okay.
That's the orb with the thermal camera. Yeah,
You know
it's
what? When I
it's
looked at it, I
black.
go, is that a UFO? I thought for a minute when I looked at it, I said,
Uh-huh.
is that a UFO? That's an orb following you guys?
Orb following us. Yeah, yeah. It's black because it's
What?
giving off heat. Yeah,
And it was giving off heat.
it's giving off heat. That's why it's black like it is. Yeah, I use the black hot setting a lot. I really like it the best.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, you can even see with the pine trees there how good the pine trees are showing up in the thermal
Yes.
camera.
Yes. Let me
Yep.
ask you, what was the ambient temperature when you shot that? More or less. Was it a
That
cold
one,
day or
it was probably in the upper 70s.
the upper 70s? Okay. For
Upper
that to show
70s,
up
yeah.
like that. Did you
For it
see
to
that
show
right
up.
away or you didn't see it till later?
No, I didn't see it until later.
I bet you must have been, what in the world is that?
Yep. And
What in the world?
when I first saw it, because see, this is a screenshot. I take all videos. I don't take pictures. I take all videos. So this is
Right.
a screenshot, and I could see it moving when looking through my video footage. I could
Mm-hmm.
actually see it up there moving, doing loops.
Right.
Yeah.
That is here. There's another one. Hold on.
I've caught them around water too, doing that, flying around us around water. And I've compared all the different bugs and birds. I've done separate videos comparing all the different kinds of birds, all the different kinds of bugs, things like that too, so people can
How
see
long
the
did it follow
differences.
you guys around?
Um, I only know that it followed us around for a few minutes.
Okay, but
I
still,
didn't
that's
catch it
that's
anymore.
unusual.
It is, yes.
And you know what? It's so perfectly round
Yeah, it's perfectly round.
because this is like, no, this is not a bug. This
Yep,
is round.
it's round, yeah. And with any bird, you can see the bird's wings.
Yeah,
Yep,
of course.
yep.
Yeah. Is it let me ask you, have you only caught this in a certain area where you go to, or you've gone to different areas? Or is there something
Um,
particular about a certain area?
I've actually caught them in a couple different areas
Yeah?
like
Okay.
this. And then I have a couple other areas too that I've caught them on game camera. A
Okay.
couple during the
Okay.
daytime, but mostly at night on the game camera.
Oh, even at night, right? On
I,
those,
yeah,
yeah.
yep.
Interesting. That is
Hmm.
so interesting. And what do they do? Do they hover around, or what do you think? What do they do? Or do you
Not
just see them zip by?
actually. I think it's a form of energy that I think the Sasquatch are using.
Think so?
I think they're using it. Yeah, I do. Yeah,
So what do you think that is it when they're around or close by or in the area or what?
yeah. I think when they're in the area, I think they can use it. And I'm not sure if they're using it to travel or if they're
Mm-hmm.
using it to like to fly around and spy on us and see what we're doing.
You know what? You must have read my mind. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm thinking,
Uh huh.
could this be the drone version
Yeah, it could be
for
like a type of drone
Sasquatch?
for them. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It very well
I,
could be.
I mean, you never know. I mean,
I know.
okay,
Yeah,
let's see this one right here. What is this?
that is
It looks like
that's with the game camera. That's an orb. See my arrows
that's an
pointing at
orb,
the orb.
like
That's an
that.
orb. Yep, that's an orb. Yep,
You know what? I was here trying to figure out what is that?
yep,
Something on the ground because it looks
yep.
so
It's
solid.
down low. It looks solid. Yeah, and a lot of times they come out white because of the infrared on the camera. When it
Uh-huh.
flashes, they come out white. But this one came out black. I've only had a couple times they've come out looking black like that on the game camera.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Hmm. And what did it do? Did it just sit there, or was it that it was in motion, or how was it that you?
Well, actually, yeah, it was moving because this camera's
Mm-hmm.
taking pictures,
Okay.
and I caught it in several different positions, so they were moving around.
They were moving around.
They're moving
Okay.
around, and if you look at those trees, up a little bit above middle ways, I got another game camera right there.
I think it's in the other one. Hold on, let me see. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, right there to the right on in those two trees. There's a
Yeah, I
game
know
camera.
that there's
Yeah.
this
Okay.
one.
Yeah, that
Let
one.
me put
Yeah.
up the other
Yeah.
picture. Hold on. Maybe it's
So what I was doing there, the game camera that you can see right there, it was set to
right,
take videos when something moved in front of it, and I kept
right.
putting apples and candy bars out in front of it,
Okay.
and it would never catch what was taking them.
Oh, you're
Something would always
kidding.
take them, and it would never catch what was taking it. It would catch deer. It would catch deer walking around. The deer
Uh-huh.
never messed with the apples at all, and you could see a deer walking past, and then all of a sudden the next video the apples were gone, and the next video you see deer walking around. You never see anything eating the apples or taking them. So that's why I put up the second game camera with it
Uh-huh.
just taking photos, and that's when I started catching all the orbs.
Because you were thinking, well, okay, if one camera misses it, the other one's bound to get
Yeah, the
whatever it
other one's
is.
bound to get whatever it is. Yeah,
But I'm
especially with
thinking to
having one
myself,
taking videos, one taking pictures.
I don't know. But I would think that a deer would go for apple. I mean, as far as that you could see it, like, hey,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you would think they would eat the apples, but I
mm-hmm.
think because it's out there in the woods and the swamp, they're just used to eating their natural things. I don't think they like out here. I don't think it's not in a place like we would have like apple orchards or apple trees.
Right, right, yeah, we don't have
So they're not
apples out here,
used to
but
them.
still,
Yeah. Yeah, but
um,
you would think they would eat them, but no, the deer never touched the apples.
I'm gonna ask you something real quick, and I'm gonna slide away from this because I need to
Mhm,
verify this with a hunter.
mhm.
Somebody was telling me that because we were talking about you know how they say about Bigfoot that they don't find any carcasses or remains and blah blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
that's right,
And
yeah.
they were talking about that. They say I was like that deer eat their own carcasses of other dead deer. That people don't realize that they cannibalize their own. Have you found that?
I've never heard a deer doing that. No.
Yes.
No, the wild
I,
hogs will.
no, the wild
Wild
hogs, and they
hogs
were
will eat the
saying
deer.
that, because,
Yeah. I've never heard that with deer.
everybody in Florida
Yeah.
knows the weather, the insects, that'll do a number on
Yeah.
you, and then you get the
Sure will.
predators and
Yeah.
everybody coming in for lunch or dinner.
Yeah. And
But
the bones won't last long out there at all. Yeah.
they were saying that deer eat, and I was like, because they were saying, who do you think is one of the animals? And I was like, coyotes? I don't know. I'm thinking, what? They said other deer, and I was like, no, don't tell me that. Bambi doesn't eat other Bambis. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that myself. Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay. And I'm thinking,
Huh?
that's a first.
Yeah.
Um, as far as the timing on seeing these orbs, is it a certain time of the year, a certain type of weather, or anything
No,
like
it's
that?
not. No, no,
Nothing related to that, huh?
nothing related to that. Yeah, yeah. It was all through the year. I've been
Yeah,
out there
nothing
winter
that you
time,
could say, I only see
summertime.
this in the summer, the winter, rainy weather, dry weather, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no certain thing like that. Yeah, no certain
Okay.
circumstances. Yeah.
All right. And what about this? High numbers.
Okay. Yeah, that's the tri-field meter. I
Mm-hmm.
use that a lot out there. Uh,
Okay.
this what I've been teaching people is this tri-field meter. It was actually made for people to use in their homes to detect if they
Okay.
were getting hit with a real high electrical current.
With the EMFs? Okay.
Yeah, the EMS. Yeah, that'll make them sick.
Mm-hmm.
And the cell phone towers put it out. Your
Yes.
router modems at home, your cell phone modems, your microwave. When
Yep.
you turn on your microwave, if you're standing up real close to it, it'll put it out real high numbers, just like I'm showing here.
Okay.
And we're getting hit when we're out in the woods. We're getting hit with real high numbers with this,
And
with
what's
the
the source? As I'm about
microwave.
to ask you. Wait a minute. What?
Yep. And it's not always like we can get hit real high with it in one area. We
Uh-huh.
can go back the next weekend to the same area and we won't get hit with it at all. It's and I think it's somehow we're getting scanned by something.
Let me
Something's
ask you.
scanning us.
Excuse me. If you compare the readings that you're getting out in the field,
Yeah.
is it equivalent, like, let's say, standing next to a microwave? Is it more or less, or in that area?
It can be about the same because actually the microwave, if you're standing right next to your microwave with it on, heating something up,
Right.
you can actually give you the 16 point something, 17 point something. It goes up to like 18 point something and then it maxes out and it'll
Let
show
me
a
ask you.
-1 dash and it maxes out.
And is that a steady spike? Oh
Yes,
boy.
yes.
Excuse me.
It'll it actually has a. I'll put it here too so you could see it. People could see what I'm talking about. So when I turn it on, like right now, my router modem here at the house is just barely putting any out. If you can hear it, I got the ticker on too. But it's got a. You can see the meter that's flashing across. But when we're out in the woods, a lot of times it'll just start spiking steadily and it'll max out as well. And even a satellite specialist has told
Mm-hmm.
us too before that there's no reason out in the woods that you should be getting hit with a 16 point or higher out in the
Right.
woods. Yeah. And we've even been several miles from a cell phone tower and it'll read like 0.025
All right.
on the cell phone tower. Yeah, that's a couple
And
miles.
so you're aware, excuse me, my voice just went south. You're aware of what's around you guys. Wow.
Yes, we sure are. Yeah, yeah. Any kind of cell phone towers that are around, I know about where they are, and I've been able to see like with using this and get like I said, it was like a 0.025 from the cell phone tower. But then when I went behind some like really thick trees, as
You're
the
right.
as the trail curved around some really thick trees, it blocked the cell phone
Okay.
tower, and the reading went back down to zero. So it blocked the cell phone tower from a couple miles away.
So in other words, you're aware, like not somebody that's they're unaware that,
Yeah,
hey, right next to you, you've got a cell phone tower. You
yeah.
aware what's
We're
around.
aware of everything that's around. Yeah, yeah, yep. And being a hunter like me too, and a tracker, I'm constantly looking up in the trees. I'm watching
Yes.
up in the trees for any kind of cougars or panthers, anything like that. I'm also looking for anything as far as Sasquatch, skunk ape, looking around the trees, always looking around in case you see any kind of dead animals that have been drug up into a tree.
Right. Now
Um,
that you said panther, you know that we have
mhm.
stories about black panthers out
Yeah,
here
black
in
panthers.
Florida.
That's right. Yeah,
Have you seen anything like that?
I've seen the regular panthers a couple times,
Right.
and I was actually working one day. I was actually driving, and my brother was with me and another friend. They actually
Mm-hmm.
seen a black panther.
Okay.
I didn't see it because I was driving, but they saw it. And another area that we've recently been researching in, um, two friends of mine that took us in there, they saw a black panther in there too as well. That was around
Yeah.
the Hillsborough River.
That's what I've heard of people
Yeah,
that they've seen them like cross the road in front of
yeah,
them,
across the road. Yeah, this one
stuff like
actually
that.
was up in a tree and it ran down the tree. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what they
and
do.
we
They'll
saw it.
drag their stuff up.
They'll drag their stuff up in the trees. Yeah, the dead carcasses, the deer,
Yeah.
something like that. Yep, yep,
Yeah, but sometimes they leave and they'll come back and keep eating from it.
yeah, that's
And
right.
that's
Yeah,
why they put it up there.
yeah. I think they put it up there so the other animals can't get to it. Yeah, can't
Exactly.
steal it from them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I think that sometimes we're in for a big surprise. Like, what?
Hmm.
Oh,
But I do get in
yeah.
areas where I find the panther tracks, I find bobcat tracks, I find their scat. So I'm always out there reading the ground, looking, and it's even a lot more too than just reading the ground because you're looking for anything like pieces of grass that have been mashed down, any small
Right.
tree branches that have been broken, especially anything up about shoulder high or higher that's been
Okay.
broken, tree limbs snap, anything like that's not a possible animal. Because most
Let
of the
me
time
ask
in
you, has
deer,
has anybody out there where you're at had any problems where livestock have been affected? Either they've lost livestock or they found livestock killed or stuff
there's
like that.
only one area that I know of. It's a ranch that a friend of mine has. I've been working with him some. Actually, five of us were working together. He
Okay.
brought us. He brought the other four of us together. Um, Two of them came from other states, and then two of us here went
Okay.
out with him to an area of his. Actually, several areas of his. He has an area where there had been some cattle mutilation on a ranch.
Really?
It's here in Central Florida too. Yeah, yeah, around the
Like
Green
the
Swamp,
typical, like a kill or UFO
like the UFO
mutilation kind
type.
of.
Yeah, where it's mutilated, where there's like surgical incisions.
Really?
Yeah, stuff like
That
that.
is
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And actually, we're still working on that as well too. He's got some of his equipment together, just like they're using on Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes.
There's areas in the Green Swamp where we're getting that 1.6 gigahertz signal
Uh-huh.
that we're getting
Right.
out there as well. Yeah, and then also with the tri-field meter, we're checking with the magnetic electric. We're
Yes.
getting areas where we're getting spikes of magnetic electric as well. Oh, there's one spot out there too where we were at that we were walking down a trail on my camcorder footage. We're walking down a pretty thick trail where there's stuff thick on both sides, so we're in single file line, and I hold my camcorder up real high above them, filming them and ahead of them, and we caught this laughing sound. To
What?
me, it almost sounded kind of like robotic like sound,
What?
but it's a laughing, and I caught it on my camcorder and on my audio recorder. I carry an audio recorder too on my chest.
That's I would I
Yeah.
would that would wig me out.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Oh, if I heard some
But,
type of laugh or mechanical laugh, I'd be like,
yep.
what?
No, we didn't hear it with our own ears. I caught it on the camcorder.
But
It was
that's
like a kind of like
oh,
that. And then as we got up the trail just a few more feet, there's a fire pit in the trail that
really.
looks like just real dark gray ashes.
Uh-huh.
It didn't look like a campfire, like for somebody spending the night. It didn't
Okay.
look like a campfire. It was just a small area of the real gray, really gray looking ashes, and it had
Mm-hmm.
looked like something had scratched around. And we were kind of thinking maybe it could have been some type of witchcraft.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, and
absolutely.
that's what I'm thinking that laughing sound might have been. it could have been some type
Yeah.
of witchcraft, something out
They
there
go out there in the woods.
watching
They're
us.
gonna do certain things. They
That's
don't
right, they
want
will.
anybody to walk in on them like a
Hmm.
more. They'll go out in the middle of nowhere.
No, yeah, that's right. And I've heard of them being out there before. People out there doing stuff like that too. So
Yes,
that's what I'm
yes.
thinking that was. Yeah.
But see, the cattle mutil. That's why I asked you, because you hear that
Hmm.
the cattle mutilations with a surgical precision, the
Yeah.
stuff that um
Yeah. And then there's no blood like you would if an animal
right,
killed it or a hunter killed it. There
like
would
where'd
be
the blood
blood.
go?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you'll hear even predators will not eat from it. You know,
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
stay away from it, which is
Hmm.
unusual because
It is
that thing
unusual.
would
Yeah.
normally be gone
Yep.
in a couple of days.
Yeah. It would. Yeah.
It's like, what do they know we don't, huh?
Yep.
And I've heard that they've even taken tissue samples and everything of some of these mutilated, cattle just to make sure that were they sick. They're
Yeah.
not. There's no disease in them. They didn't die
Mhm.
because they were sick. Nothing like that.
Yep.
And that's a big question mark.
Yeah.
Have you ever run across people out there in the middle of the woods up to no good, like doing like I'm telling you, they'll sometimes if they're sacrificing animals because that some of these rituals that's what it involves,
Yeah.
and that's why they
That's
go out
what I
into the
would.
middle of the woods.
Yeah. We think that was probably a ritual type thing there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I've ever run across was something like that, or what looked to me like I found one time like a camp area where you could tell somebody had stayed there a couple days. They had a lean-to built, they had firewood cut, stuff like that. That they could have been running from the law.
yeah, that's another thing. People don't realize that you could go out in the woods and you could find somebody.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
this is the
somebody's
thing.
running
People
from the
don't
law. They
realize
could definitely
once
be
upon a time you could go camping, but now you go to regular campgrounds and you need to check in.
out. Hmm.
If you're going to stay there, they need to
Yeah,
know where are you staying,
yeah,
who are you, what's the number, your tag number. They know
yeah,
who you
that's right.
are
Yeah, they get your tag number and everything. Yeah.
and everything. So this thing of you're being anonymous if you're going to go camping. So
Hmm.
it's what you were describing. If you're somebody that's, hey, I need to get off the grid because of whatever reason,
Yep.
if you're gonna go in the woods, you're not gonna go to the park with the
No, no,
campsites.
not.
You're not. You can't.
No,
That anonymous that doesn't exist anymore.
no, no.
They're they want to know.
Hmm.
And yeah, people. I've heard of people, hunters, and other people running across people that have been out there for a while. By the way,
Yeah, yep.
and that thing, if you're building a lean-to and you've got wood stacked,
Hmm. Then you're
hey,
planning to be
that
in for a little while. Yeah, yeah,
you've been there for a bit.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, yeah. You could find yourself, yeah, and I've even heard, that some people have disappeared, and everybody's wondering. It's like, yeah, we know there's people out here running around that,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, you even get some people sometimes are a little bit mentally ill, like maybe they've got a little bit of a problem, and not that
Hmm.
they've killed anybody, but they just, they don't do well in society. And
Yeah, that's
next
right.
thing you
Yeah,
know, they're running around out there.
yep. And there's a lot to eat out there too. If you know
Sure,
what to eat, what to look for, there's a lot to eat out there as well. Yeah,
as long as you know how to deal with the mosquitoes.
yeah, that's right.
Oh man.
They can get bad. Yeah,
Oh
yep,
yeah, yeah, but still,
yep. There's certain times of year too, though, that they're not bad at all out there.
it depends, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
it
depends
depends. I believe
on
it's
the
what
weather
is it?
and year.
What's a threshold? Is it 70 degrees or 72 degrees? If it goes below that, then they can't hatch. And it's once you go, I
Yeah,
think it's over 70 degrees or something,
yeah. Once it gets
then they
cooler,
can
yeah, then
reproduce.
yeah,
Hmm.
yep.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff out here,
Hmm.
insect life that can make life impossible if you're out in the
Yep,
wild.
that's
But
right.
still,
Yeah. And now that the water's coming back up out there too, because we went through a drought when
hmm
we were at the Bigfoot conference. We were actually going through a drought
yeah,
then.
we were.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
we
now
were.
it's been raining a lot, and then
Now we got too much
the
rain.
Debbie came through. Yeah, and there's a lot of water out there now. So yeah, now the mosquitoes are going to start really coming out.
Oh yes, yes, they
Hmm.
do. They
Yep.
do. Everything here is very seasonal, depending on the temperature, obviously, and the waterfall. You
Yeah,
know,
the water. Yeah, and then too
but
that changes the woods a lot too. You can
I
go out there
bet.
to certain areas, and in a couple months' time, it'll look completely different because you
Yes.
get all the rain. You got hurricanes come through, knocks trees down. Yeah, you get
Have you
a
ever
lot.
run across out there? I've heard of the Bigfoot either bending branches or knocking them down a certain way, or even building some type of I want to say like a structure.
Yeah, we see a lot of different types of tree structures. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A lot of times you'll see the bows where the tree is bowed around,
Yes.
and it'll
Right.
come back down and touch the ground. And
Okay.
sometimes it'll have something placed on top of it
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like who's gonna
very
do
end.
that?
Yeah, and it won't be something heavy enough to hold it down, but for some
Mm-hmm.
reason it does, or it's some type of marker when it's coming around holding it down.
Do
Also,
they do
there's well,
any tree knocking stuff out here in
yeah,
Florida?
we hear tree knocking every once in a while. A lot of times, if you when you do go out into the woods, when you
Mm-hmm.
first get out of your car and shut your door, if you listen, sometimes you can hear them knock.
Okay.
It's like a warning sound, like somebody's here. That you can hear them knock
Okay.
when you first get out of your car. I've caught them whistling when planes go by,
Really?
plane be going by, so it's making like a cover sound, and you can hear
Uh-huh.
them whistle, and it's like a real loud, shrill type whistle. Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard stuff like that. Um,
That is
there's
so
quite a few
interesting.
different types of tree structures, and there's some that I've found that to me I think are actually portals. The way they're
Okay,
shaped.
let's get into that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they're portals? What leads you to believe that?
I have found a few that they're not just a regular typical like bend tree.
Mm-hmm.
They actually they kind of bend around in a circle and come back
Okay.
around, and the branches will be like tucked over the wrong way and down on the ground. And I think it's actually a portal that they can actually open and access and go through. And but we can't do nothing. I mean, to me, we can just walk through it and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
I've walked around out there with the tri-field meter with the compass, going through
Okay.
them, walking around them, see if any changes. And I've only had a couple times where the compass needle might have just barely moved a little, but
Okay.
for the most part, I think we cannot access it. We don't have the knowledge or the know.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, but I
Because I
think
know people said, is it a portal? Is it a rip? And I'm sure you've heard that there's a correlation between cryptid sightings and UFO sightings.
in UFO sightings, yes, there is a
Is
lot.
it that they are coming in, let's say if let's say for example, if a UFO is using interdimensional travel and
Yeah,
they're coming through and then these animals or these cryptids coming through at the same time, like I'm sneaking through, or do they have the ability, what you're talking about, which is to actually go back and forth,
yeah, I think
if
they
they
can
want to?
do it. Yeah, I think they can do it themselves. Yeah, dimensionally,
Have you
and that
found any
does work.
correlation from, I don't know if you have anybody that you know, Tim, that is looking at the UFO sightings to see if there's a correlation?
Yes, that's one of the things we're actually working on too with that 1.6 gigahertz, that we're trying to find if there's actually a certain areas that only find in certain areas that have this, that maybe
Okay.
they can be traveling through the UFOs or aliens and the Bigfoot Sasquatch themselves moving or working together, moving through. And
Right,
yes,
right, right.
from a lot of the things I've seen, we've actually caught on the EVP like an space aliens saying, "Where's the spaceship? Where's the
What?
spaceship?" Yeah, and actually that was Kathy. That was Kathy's
Whoa,
a
whoa,
friend
whoa,
of
whoa,
ours,
whoa.
Kathy's bird.
When did she catch it? I mean,
She called
what
us
was the setting?
about a year back, about a year ago. They were
Uh-huh.
sitting out in the dark, and
Okay.
they had a couple lights hanging up. So
Okay.
one of the lights, when she took pictures, some of the pictures came out normal, but a couple of the pictures, one of the lights had this little looking UFO in it,
Okay.
and it had turned. It was facing one direction, and then another picture it had turned. And at the same
Okay.
time, she caught that on her audio. Actually, I took the audio, I caught it, and I had enhanced it for her so she
Mm-hmm.
could hear it better. And it was
Okay.
like eight or nine times you could hear them saying, "Where's the spaceship? Where's the spaceship?" And they got like frantic, like somehow the light must have interfered with what they were doing.
Okay.
And then
That's
over to the side, you could see like a shape of a being that looked like a Sasquatch. You could just see like a shadow shape. So
oh
we think it was the Sasquatch and the UFOs or the aliens that were actually working together at that
Right, and I've
time.
heard of that theory that they're
Yeah.
like
And
somehow or other.
a lot of the beings that I catch that I think are Sasquatch, I've caught them around where I'm catching the orbs. Yeah.
See,
So I
that's
think
what I
there is a
mean.
connection. Yeah. Yeah.
Like all these things is that there's like a correlation, whether it's the
Correlation. Yeah.
timing or
Yeah.
the area or
Yep.
something where you see,
And
like
the
I've heard, yeah, there's spikes. Like in other words, people that have not been aware,
mhm.
people that are tracking, let's say Sasquatch, Bigfoot sightings, and then another group that's going on the UFO. In other
Yeah.
words, they're not work, and then when they look at the time and date, everything, they're like, wait a minute, around this time, everything spiked up.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, yeah, it's too much of a coincidence.
Too much. Yeah. Yeah. And the Sasquatch I was talking about called Big Red.
Uh huh.
One of the sightings was a guy was driving by in his truck, driving down through the woods on the regular main highway.
Right.
And he actually seen it. He saw it, and he said it was really close to the edge of the road, but it was in this trail where it had the gate that went into the green swamp area.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was looking away from the road. It was looking down the trail like it was waiting for something. He said it had like 1 foot out in the trail, kind of like at an angle. He was kind of standing out of an angle, and it was
Okay.
looking down the trail like it was waiting for something. And we're thinking it could have been waiting for a portal to open or a rift
It could have.
to open.
Sure.
Yeah. And it
Why
never
not?
looked at the guy when he drove by, when he was driving by. But it scared him too. It scared that guy real bad because he said
I
it was
bet.
huge. Yeah.
No, I mean, and that's the thing is like this. This is you can't mistake this for something else.
No,
You
you
can't.
can't. No, no,
Oh no, you thought it was that, and it's like, nah.
no.
Have you run across any other type of weird creature out there when you've been in the woods?
The dog man.
You've
I've found dog man out there too as well on my like when I go back and look through my footage,
mm-hmm.
and I can actually I've caught him a couple times. One time I could actually see the portal in my footage. I could see the portal, and I could see one coming through it, and I could see
Yeah,
one
because
down.
that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
thinking, if there's something besides Bigfoot coming through those portals.
Yep. I think the dog man and the Bigfoot both use it. Yeah. And I think they're here together a lot too as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I tell everybody, I think I would wig out if I saw Bigfoot, but seeing Dogman, I'd be like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep. And I've caught some really bright eye shine as well
yeah.
that I think was a dog man
What
when we
they
were.
don't. Bigfoot doesn't have eye shine.
They do as well. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do. Okay,
From everything I keep hearing, they do. Yeah. Yeah.
that
But
is so
I'm really
interesting.
thinking this was a dog man. And also too, because while we were sitting there, when I was filming with my night vision camcorder, and you can see the eye shine
Uh
between
huh.
two trees,
Yeah.
and you can see it move around some. But also during that time at night, we could hear a dog way off in the distance by a river,
Okay.
and I've used hunting dogs a lot, hunting and stuff, and this it didn't sound right to me. It sounded like a dog, almost kind of like trailing an animal, running, trailing an animal,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of
Mm-hmm.
kept running back and forth and barking,
Right.
and it
Right.
just didn't sound like a normal dog. So
Have your dogs that you use for hunting, have they ever like acted like unusual that something's up with it, that they're reacting to something, in other words?
no, I didn't at the time when I was hunting a lot like that with them,
Mm-hmm.
and but that was way back when I didn't think
Okay.
anything of Bigfoot being here, anything like that at all being here in Florida. Yeah.
I'd be scared to take out my dog if I had a dog. I mean, I
Oh
have
no.
8 dogs. I have yappy little terrier dogs. But as far
Uh-huh.
as hunting, I'd be scared because I'm thinking if something happens to them, I don't know. And you hear that like, a lot
Yeah,
of
'cause
hunters, they lose dogs
it's
that
bad
way.
enough too, just with the regular animals out there. You have alligators out there. You have the rattlesnakes that
Forgot
can
about
kill
the
your dogs.
alligators.
You have the
Yeah.
wild hogs. Yeah, there's alligators all around Florida that could easily kill your dog at night. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because people don't realize those alligators, they come out
Hmm.
at night and
At
stuff
night.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, even during the daytime, especially during the mating season, they'll
Mating season, I
travel
was about to
from
say,
one
they
water to the
travel
next.
during mating season,
They
big
sure
time.
do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
People don't realize they're like that that thing about, at one time I was doing hypnosis. I was a hypnotherapist, and I had a couple of people
Hmm.
that had cryptid sightings that came to
Hmm.
me for different reasons because they were going through such a bout of anxiety after what they weren't,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I want to say only a couple of them actually were in the woods hunting. They were like, and the other,
Hmm.
another couple, saw the running across the road kind of deal.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, Tim. It did a number on their sanity, for lack of a better
Okay.
word.
Hmm.
They were not ready for it. It's, in other words, they weren't
Yeah.
out there looking
Okay, well,
for it.
sure will.
Stuff
Yeah.
happened to them,
Hmm.
and they just rocked their world where they was like they couldn't handle it, and they were coming to me for to treat them, because they were having a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Uh, they some of the ones that they were like not going back in the woods, and
Hmm.
they were like every little noise at the beginning. They were like they
Yeah.
become like hyper vigilant. Yeah.
Yep. It does that to a lot of hunters too. A lot of hunters, when something like that all of a sudden walks right out in front of them when they're sitting out
Hmm.
there in the tree stand hunting, and all of a sudden one's right there out there in front of them, and they'll turn and look at them. They'll turn and look up at the hunter like they don't care if they're there.
Yeah.
Or the hunters will see trees out there shaking, that there's nothing, there's no wind, and they're
Yes.
just out there just throwing trees all around them, and they'll just get out of the tree stand and leave. They'll leave the tree
They'll
stand
be
there.
thinking, I've been here all this time by myself. What? What was it? That ignorance is bliss kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I've heard that it's caused some people to like, what is it? I've heard people either quit like going into the out camping. I've heard
Yeah.
people stop the hunting
Yeah. They'll quit hunting. They'll
or
quit going to the woods. Yeah.
going into the woods, or they
Mhm.
won't go by themselves, or they're always armed, like super
Yep.
armed. Like,
Yep. Super armed. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
yes, yes,
And I'll tell you
yes.
too, I know they can tell your intentions because I always carry a firearm when I'm in the woods, always.
Uh-huh.
And I know they can tell my intentions. They know I would never do anything as far as trying to shoot them
Right.
because I catch them on my thermal camera getting very close to me a lot.
Sure.
Yep.
I think people give off a vibe,
They do. Yeah. Yep.
like, but at the same time,
But
I'm sure they
also,
realize
since you
he's
said
got,
that, I, I don't think they see us as humans like we see each other. I think they
uh-huh,
see our energy. I
possibly,
really
yeah.
think they see our energy. Yeah.
But people, I think also the predators, they have a sense about like he's not hunting me or he's not going to do anything, but this person has got one of those things,
Yeah.
like as in a gun,
Hmm.
that will defend themselves. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's
Like
right.
they kind
Yeah.
of sense like, hey, let's
Yeah.
just you
And
stay over
I
there, I'll
think
stay
that,
over here, and
yeah,
it's all
like a
good.
predator like that. Yeah. I think they can actually sense like
Yeah.
if you're not afraid, you're not like some people might be out there that if they see something, they would be afraid and
Oh yeah,
want to run. And I think the animals can sense that. And I think
sure.
they can sense like with me, like being confident and not being
Yeah.
afraid. I think they could sense that, and they would just stay back and watch as I
Yeah.
go
I mean,
around.
with the smell,
Um,
even the way we perspire changes when you're afraid.
yeah,
Everything.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. That like they can smell the fear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
Yeah, man. Talk about and you and you hear these stories about people being out and camping and it's the middle of the night and that's when they realize it. It's like, where are you gonna go in the middle of the night? Out in the woods. And
Yep.
I
That's
hear about
right.
them like spending the night in their trucks and stuff like
Yeah.
that because
Yeah. A lot of
it's like,
people get in their vehicle and sleep in their vehicle instead of the tent because they get
yes,
scared. Yeah. Yep.
yes. Because they just don't know. They're like whatever is out there. And I've even heard of
Mhm.
people leaving their equipment behind, like leaving all their
Yeah.
stuff out there. Just
That's right. Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going back there. I'm not.
Hmm. Yeah. They
Yeah.
will.
This is like I'm not. I don't even want to. And people don't understand that when you see something like that. Okay, let's say you see what is a Sasquatch, whatever cryptid, whatever it is that you see.
Yeah.
That it's not that just that you saw it, but in your reality, you're thinking, if that exists, what else is out there that I thought doesn't exist?
Yep.
So it
That's
opens
right.
up the world of possibilities
Yep.
as far as doing a number on your sanity kind of deal.
Yeah. That's
Um,
right.
where you're like, well, if this is, well, what else is out there?
Yep. I think they do that with aliens and UFOs as well. When they see
Yes.
something like that, they're like, "Oh wow!" I didn't
What do
think
you
that
think?
was
Do you
supposed to be
think,
real.
I ask all my guests, do you think extraterrestrials are friendly, unfriendly, or indifferent to us? What do you think?
Myself, I think they're friendly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you
and
ever had
I
any
don't think
interaction with any?
I haven't. No, not as far as like an alien. No,
Mm-hmm.
I have caught a couple times with. I'm pretty sure it's an alien, like the gray looking aliens on my thermal camera.
Really? When
And
you've been out
one
in the
one was
woods?
here recently. Yeah, yeah, and I actually caught him in a couple different spots as we were walking into an area.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
And
don't
what do you
think.
think they're just observing?
I think they're just observing. Yeah, or maybe they're here doing something of their own and they're just watching
Sure.
us. Yeah, but I don't think they're like unfriendly or aggressive or anything like that. Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't think they actually like travel through space like a lot of
Right. That
like
linear stuff that
TV
everybody
shows
thinks
or
it's so many
movies.
light
Yeah,
years away. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I think they move through wormholes or dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what people don't realize. If you're talking linear, like they say, like you see the light of a star, by the
yeah.
time it reaches here, the star is gone
Stars
because
already
it's
did.
light
Yeah,
years.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah. And I don't
That
think they travel through space like that. Yeah.
which makes sense.
Hmm.
Which makes sense. And now, they're everybody's realizing. I mean, you've heard, I'm sure, of other stuff, even sightings underneath the water.
Yeah,
You
that's right.
know,
Yeah. Yeah, because
it's
they'll
not
move in the
just
water just as fast as in the air.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
And what do you think? Do you think any of the sightings are us, as in man-made, like advanced
yeah.
technology, and we
I
just
do. I
mistaking
think
it?
that we have the technology too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think so
some of it's
too.
probably us. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's just like a big secret. And everybody
yeah,
looks at it and you don't recognize it. Like, what is that? That is so weird. And we just immediately
mhm,
think it's extraterrestrial in origin. And
yeah.
it's not.
And it's not.
It's
Yeah,
us.
yep. It's us. Yeah, yep.
Do you, and I know some people think, oh, we've gotten that technology because we've back engineered
Yeah,
alien.
yeah. Back
And then there's other people that
engineering.
say, no, we were so smart that we figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know which way to go on that. But I think
And
that
you've
they
actually had
have
them
done
open up
stuff
the code.
technologically that we are like, we have no
Mm-hmm.
idea about.
No, we sure don't. No.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, that's why they have all these and you know what, historically I've said, there's been sightings throughout history of certain weird animals
Yeah.
that a lot of people have seen, even if it's a certain amount of time. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think that portal explanation accounts for it, like something slips through
Yeah. Slips through the portal and then
and
maybe
then
back.
they're around for a little bit. Bunch of people see it,
Yeah.
and maybe a couple of months later, that's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Nobody
And
ever
it's
sees it
gone. Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I've heard of several things like that, like a type of dinosaur, the big thunderbird.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it just dies, and it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't a bunch of them, or that they, what's the word I'm looking for? They've actually lived live here. Let's say, like, if you think of Sasquatch, you think, okay, this is an animal that's acclimated. They can live here. They hunt. They live.
Mm-hmm.
They whatever. Whereas maybe some of these other things are not really. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not really not earthling,
Some
but
people too think that that like when something dies like that too, that they're like imprinted on the area, so they think you could actually be seeing that from the past.
wouldn't
You
that
know?
be- wouldn't that that's and so you see this picture back there. That I put that in the background because that's one of the most. That's what I don't know if you've heard of it. That sheep squatch thing, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
it's they think I think they see it in the area of Marlene, close to the Appalachians.
Yeah, the
No, no, it's a
Appalachian.
white thing. Yeah, it's like in West Virginia. I'm sorry, it's in West Virginia, and they
Yeah,
call
the
it the white
Appalachian
thing, but it's
Mountains,
like a
Appalachian
sheep
Trail.
squatch kind of deal.
I think I've heard of it.
And it's like and I'd be like, well, that'll beat it all. A Bigfoot that has a sheep face. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some like the ram's horns and stuff like that. I'd be like, you know what, that'd be
Yeah.
right there.
Uh-huh.
But they have, let me tell you something, for years, people in West Virginia have talked about sheep squatch or the white thing. That's like something that's seen out there a lot.
Mm.
But it's like that one particular area.
Yeah. Okay.
And then maybe, like you said, maybe these are variations
Yeah, could very
of.
well be. Yeah.
So let me ask you, what are you planning to go out there? Are you waiting for the winter? What do you got in the works?
No, actually, it's been really hot too, and I work in the heat.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have been planning on going back to this one area where I caught some really good thermal footage too from
Uh-huh.
my last couple of videos. I showed it, but I've been planning on going back there here soon. And it to me, I mean, it don't really matter if it's hot. I'll still get up and go.
Oh, let me
And
tell you something,
I
man. It's
like to
been
get
really
out there.
hot.
I like to get out there before daylight sometimes too, and get started
Yeah.
coming out before daylight and see too if I can catch some animals on video or on the thermal camera, the deer or the hogs, something like that too, while I'm moving around in there. So
Let me ask you something, Tim. Have you had that instance, and you sound like you're familiar with Skinwalker,
yes,
where some of the people that worked out there, even if they not even the same researchers, just people, maybe security, where I
hmm
guess they closed for the winter because the winters out there are pretty harsh,
yeah, I think they
and
are.
they had stuff like they say followed them home, like they had started having weird stuff happen to them at their houses.
Yes,
Did
I
you
know
have you ever
people
had
that
that
have had that.
experience?
I haven't. I haven't
Okay,
myself, but I know people that have.
that like that hitchhiker effect
The
thing.
hitchhiker effect. Yeah, that's it. The hitchhiker effect. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because a couple of our friends that
Mm-hmm.
he has his own channel, but him
Okay.
and his sister both have had him actually show up in their houses, like touching their legs from behind.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
and and he would look around and see where his dog is, and his dog's laying on the bed with his wife, and it had
Okay.
just touched him like a hairy hand
Oh
touched him
my
on
God.
the toe. Yeah,
Oh boy.
yep. So I know a couple people that has had that happen, but so far I haven't. Not that I've noticed anything. I haven't had that happen though.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you know what? I've heard of that. A lot of people don't realize I've heard of that. I've
yeah,
spoken to people. I used to work. Well, I used to belong to UFO group a few years ago,
hmm
and I spoke to people who had had sightings, and they would tell me, "Look, I didn't realize it when I had like the lights in the sky kind of deal. It wasn't even an abduction scenario or anything like that."
hmm
And they started telling me, and then all of a sudden I had these weird things going on in my house, and I couldn't
hmm
figure out, like, it took them a while to connect the dots. Like, this started happening
hmm
after I saw this UFO sighting, and some of them had had this stuff going on for years. All right,
yeah,
and and I was like, because remember, once upon a time, UFO stuff is over here, and the
yeah.
paranormal and UFO were two separate fields
Yep, we're two
altogether.
separate things. That's right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Yes, yes,
yep.
and it seems like they overlap more than we thought.
Yeah, they seem to. Yeah,
Tim, for my podcast listeners, what is the best way to find you at your YouTube? Where can they find you at?
yeah. My YouTube, Tim T in Florida, is the best,
Okay,
and it just like it's spelled on the screen there, Tim T in
Tim T in
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, and then I
O-
also do a Facebook group too as well.
Okay,
So anybody can join that if they want to
all
join it.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me ask you: do you welcome for people to send you pictures or anything that they've come across?
Yes, I do. Yeah, and
Okay,
especially on the Facebook group too. Yeah,
sure,
yeah. To
sure.
post anything on the Facebook group like that, especially your own research, your own photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I have several of my viewers from my YouTube channel that are now sending me photos and stuff on either my email or actually send them to my phone, like text message to my phone. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sometimes people have I hate to say it, but sometimes people have experiences or they capture thing and they want to share it, but with somebody who's not going to laugh at them.
yeah. That's
And
right. Yeah,
sometimes they don't. It's like if I tell this to my buddy or my wife or my
hmm
coworker, they're gonna look at me like, "What's wrong with you?"
yeah. Because there's still too much of that. Too much of people laughing at people for
Yeah,
stuff and ridiculing. Yeah,
sure.
there's way too much of it still.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you.
yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
I belong to, and maybe it's the same group on Facebook that Kathy does. I can't
Yes,
remember. I can't
Kathy's
remember.
group. Yes. Okay.
Yes, I belong to that, and I
Okay.
check out the pictures and everything that's going on with that because I find it super interesting.
Okay.
It's my
Good. Yeah.
backwoods.
Bigfoot
I've got
world.
a
Yeah.
Ocala National Forest right there, right next
Yep.
to me.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
which, by the way, people don't realize there's they also have they got a lot of UFO sightings and stuff like that out there.
Yeah. That's right. There is. Yeah.
in Ocala National
Yep, in
Forest.
Ocala. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All
Yep.
right. Thank you so much, Tim, and I
Yeah.
want to wish you the
Thank you.
best of luck. And we'll keep in touch. And I'm
Okay.
following what you guys are doing on Facebook. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Interesting, huh? Yeah. A couple of months ago, I went to we had what was the name of it? Oh my God, Marlene. Anyway, it was a Bigfoot conference out here, and they had all the big names out here talking. You know that it was a like a whole day presentation, and they had all the people, the researchers that you see on the TV, and he had a table, and I started talking to this again. I like to speak to the people like him, not the people that. Okay, it's great. Yes, those shows us wonderful. I'm not, but I'd rather always speak to the person who's out there doing the stuff, not. In other words, they're not in production of a show. All right, they're out there just like he is, going out there and see what happens. Maybe something happens, maybe something doesn't, and he's got his. You could tell he's got a method set up for what he comes across, and like that he realizes, hey, I'm learning along the way. Like in other words, when I started this, I didn't pick up on certain things. And now that I've learned that I'm learning along the way, I realize either correlation or like he said, samples or all those things. That's important. This is somebody that's developing a method and a model and they're learning. And like he's looking at hair samples and doing a comparison to, is it this or are we excluding that? As in what could be out there that's going to leave a hair sample or a fur sample or whatever it is. Because let's face it, out in the woods, there's only X amount of animals that will do that. At least here in Florida, the hogs, bear. I mean, there's only a certain amount of things that in other words, I don't think would be that difficult to exclude after a while. And like everything, when you start looking at these samples and you're like, I've never seen this before. Right? It's a difficult, and, a lot of people I know will say, well, why DNA? DNA is expensive, people. You send that off. Remember, on your to do a DNA analysis of anything is expensive. So it's not like, oh, I'll drop this. And once upon a time, people used to develop pictures. Oh, I'll drop it off at the lab and it'll be ready in 3 days. Nah, that doesn't work that way. Even now, come on. Even for crimes, sometimes even with that urgency that, hey, we have a crime scene or we're going to solve a crime or a cold case, it takes time for DNA to get analyzed. Yeah, it's become advanced, but and then you think about it, what would happen? Well, wait a minute, I take that back. Because I know that there's my God, I know there's an English, I can't remember what his name is. I think there was an English geneticist who said, I'm willing to test any samples they bring me. In other words, and he said, and, I remember this and I thought, that's pretty admirable. He says, he's a geneticist. And he was saying, if we close our minds to possibilities, in other words, I'm not saying it exists, but I'm willing to test samples that they send them to me. And it's like, that's great. But let's say it makes you wonder if somebody's found a sample, send it off to, I'm not saying that guy, any laboratory that's going to do the processing for a sample. And it came back for something unknown. Would they say it? Or would they just tell the guy, nah, that's a bear or whatever, or a horse or whatever? Because I'm going to go X-Files on this, folks. Because, they had somebody from the government go, no, you can't let that person that sent that sample in, you can't let them know that that's a type of, here we go, type of primate hair, but that doesn't belong to any current classification of primates. No, you can't tell them. Just tell them that it's a bear. It's a bear, whatever. And tell them sorry. Why not? Why not? Because it's like it's almost like that clue, when the thread, when you pull it, what comes with it. Let's go down the road what me and Tim were discussing about a connection between Bigfoot, cryptids, UFOs, extraterrestrials. It's like if you admit to one and then you follow through on it, what else are they going to discover before we're ready to tell them, if us normies ever get told anything? So we'll just tell them it was a horse, a coyote, a bear, anything but that it's some type of primate hair. That, by the way, we know exactly maybe what it is. But we can't ever let them, because can you imagine the frenzy there would be? Because then they might actually catch on that maybe this is connected to extraterrestrial life in some way, shape, or form, or not. Who knows? Just maybe. And we don't want that. No. As long as the Bigfoot, whatever, / cryptid, dogman, anything else out there that people will think it's there, but there's never been definitive proof, because that right there is the key. Definitive proof. That's it. That's the deal breaker. Right? And there was ever definitive proof, as in some type of sample where you had somebody, of course, with like a scientist that would say, this is fill in the blank. This is a sample from an unknown, but it's not this, it's not that. It looks like maybe similar to. I think short of producing a body, a carcass, that would probably go a long way towards convincing people. And then, of course, and that could lead to UFO and everything else that comes with it. Maybe the powers that be want to keep us. In other words, yeah, you guys run off. But as long as you're entertaining, you kind of suspect, but without anybody producing anything, it's always going to stay in the realm of, there's going to be the disbelievers, the naysayers. Oh, no, I don't believe none of that. As long as it's like that, we could deal with that. You could deal with that, even though. And in other words, that would be the unraveling of maybe a big charade of lies and things that they've told us or not told us. Because remember, lying sometimes is not lying. It's the omission of truth. As in, no, we're not going to lie about it, but we're not going to tell you the truth, which is just as bad, really. It's just as bad. Also, it could also bring to light, are we talking a primate, some type of primate? Something like an offshoot of an ancient primate? In other words, is it something of Earth origins? How's that? Or is this something that came from another planet? Here we go, Marlene. Let's go. Let's go. What if this was some type of animal? Let's go with the animal version of it. That was developed off planet somewhere, and they said, we got these, these type of things. Or maybe they not that they were created, and like what I'm saying, maybe they exist in another Earth-like thing, Bigfoot world, whatever. And some ET said, you know what, that world's about to blow up. Let's pick up a bunch of them. Let's scoop them up and drop them off on Earth. Why not? Let's see what happens. In other words, their origins are not here. That could be it. That could be it. And, or, maybe they are intradimensional. Maybe, yeah, they could be off Earth. Maybe they could be in Earth, but they have that ability. Maybe they've been tweaked. Let's go with that theory. There's some type of primate that was tweaked by extraterrestrials. I don't know what they use them for, but I'm not an ET as far as what would I use a Bigfoot for? Let's see. Or sometimes think about it. If you create something, you let it loose and see what it does in the wild. Does it mate? Does it procreate? What does it do out there? Same thing with we'll go with the dog man. Like let's let it loose and see what happens. Is it going to die off? Are they going to? Because remember the theory of, everybody thinks of as far as what was it, Darwin's theory of evolution. The fiercest, the one is the ones that survive. No, the species that survives is the one that can procreate the most, because that assures that you will have members of your whatever species you are that will be around to replace offspring that die from attrition, die because maybe they get sick, die because of an accident, get killed by a predator. In other words, that's really the law of the fittest, is he who procreates the most so that you can continue. That is, and maybe they threw him. Okay, let's see what happens. Are they going to procreate or are they going to die off? Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of questions that could go with that. And again, it's a very interesting world. Interesting times, interesting world. Anyway, guys, please come back. I have a lot of great guests. Some well-known, others like Tim, which I love. As a matter of fact, I got to check on that. There's going to be a link on the credits of the show. Tim T in Florida, about that group. There's a lot of, believe it or not, there's a lot of parks out here for hunting and everything, for stuff like that to exist. Take my word for it. There is. All right. And food source, absolutely. There's plenty here to eat. Forget just besides the wild pigs, food abundance, a lot of it. All right, all year round. There's nothing here where, in the winter, here's Florida. Okay, it'll get cold, especially if you start heading into the northern Florida. But there's no food scarcity. There's always food. There's always food out here. There's rivers. There's plenty of stuff to eat as far as sustaining a population of whatever it is. So yeah. But anyway, please go to mppellicer.com or miamighostchronicles.com. Sign up for my newsletter on Substack. Also, you can find links to everything, whether it's the video version or the podcast version for any of the shows that I do, including Stories of the Supernatural. All right. There's links to podcast platforms, depending if you have a favorite one. If you want to search for it on my website, you could just, either download the MP3 file directly, or you could just, right on your browser, you can listen to the podcast version, or if not. And like I said, I'm on all the major platforms, video platforms also. All right. Besides YouTube, I'm on BitChute, I'm on CloudHub, I'm on Rumble, I'm everywhere. It's, depending, and I know sometimes, because I do the same thing. If I'm traveling, if I'm in my vehicle, I'll listen to a podcast version of something. Yeah, even if there's a video, but I'll do the podcast because, let's face it, I got to pay attention to, where I'm driving. So that's why I give. And the good thing about, if you listen to it on my website, is there's no commercial interruptions. All right. You go to any of the other podcast platforms, Spreaker, that goes out to Apple and all the other major, you can find me there too. Stories of the Supernatural. You're going to get the insertion of the ads, which it pays the bills, but depends, and most people are used to it, but depending on what your preference is, you're going to always have access to all my material by coming to my website. So again, I have some great guests already lined up. As a matter of fact, I already am designing the artwork for season 17 of Stories of the Supernatural. All right, which season 17 covers all the shows starting from January to June of 2025. I'm already just about to close out season 16 and go into season 17 of Stories of the Supernatural. All right. So when I say I got good guests, I've got a lot of good guests. New ones that have returned, people that have brought out new books, you name it. We're going there. So till next time, remember, you're all wonderful, and thank you for being part of my audience. Till next time.